What up, everybody? I'm not gonna lie, it's been very tempting to want to go ahead and get WWE 2K26 sooner rather than later. Especially when I'm watching gameplay footage and I'm seeing the wacky ragdoll physics and, you know, all the improvements they've made to the backstage goodness and whatnot. It's still not on par with games like Here Comes the Pain or SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, but it's still really, really good for a 2K game. As a matter of fact, I would say it's pretty much peak at this point. I don't think it's going to get any better. I don't see how they can get any better. Unless, of course, they really do try making it more like Here Comes the Pain and SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, where it lets you actually traverse from area to area as much as you want, like it's almost like a free roam experience. Where with 2K you can only select certain areas to battle in, and that's it. So, yeah. Or, let's see, what else could we do in Shut Your Mouth and Here Comes the Pain that made those games so great? Oh, that's right, you can drive Undertaker's motorcycle. You could use a forklift and drop, wooden crates on your opponent, things like that. You could literally break through the locker room wall, exposing the bathroom, and then you can throw your opponent into the stall or whatever, and you see their head going face first into the toilet. So pretty much, you were able to give your opponent a swirly. You still can't do that in 2K games. Something else we was able to do in SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Well, no, I think this one was actually exclusive to Here Comes the Pain. I can't remember if it was in Shut Your Mouth or not, but I do know that in Here Comes the Pain, that you could literally go to an area where you can climb up the ladder hanging from a helicopter and dive from that ladder, landing onto a limo, causing the limo to explode and knocking yourself out in the process. Yes, back then you could literally knock yourself out. You can kick your own ass, basically. And here comes the pain. You know. So, yes, at the end of the day, even though the backstage goodness is really good in WWE 2K26, it's still nowhere near as awesome and wacky and over the top and everything as what it was in SmackDown Shut Your Mouth and SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. So, yeah. I mean, my goodness, even that one wrestling game that on the GameCube that came out before the Day of Reckoning games were made, they even had that revenge story mode, and yeah, you can literally murder, your opponents and stuff on that by throwing them off a bottomless pit and everything. So yeah. Or they had, another segment where they had a steel cage stacked up on top of another steel cage stacked up on top of another steel cage. And you can climb up those cages, by climbing a chain that was right there in the middle part. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we had in past wrestling games that we still don't have in the 2K wrestling games. But, so, yes, there is still a lot of room for improvement there. But that's beside the point. You see, despite the fact that pretty much everything that I ever wanted in a wrestling game is now there now, even having 200 call slots, which is a huge, feature for me since I'm really into creating stuff and whatnot. But nonetheless, though, regardless, it doesn't matter anymore because I have heard just how bad they have slaughtered this franchise with corporate greed. The corporate greed has been getting worse every year. It started with 2K22 is when it really started being noticeable. But it really got worse from there. Now we can't even purchase separate DLC packs. No, if you want the DLC, you're going to have no choice but to buy the season pass. And guess what? There's more than one of them. And I think they're about like $40 or $50 a pop. So, yeah. And that still don't unlock everything. Yeah, you don't even unlock everything by getting the season passes. Like what you used to. No, people have figured it up, and they have figured it by the time you get all the DLC, all the ringside passes, unlocking all the Persona outfits in the My Faction mode, the amount of money you're going to need to spend, real life money you're going to need to spend to do that without having to grind your ass off forever. And all the stuff you can actually purchase within the, that you're pretty much going to have to get real life money to purchase in the My Island mode. I think they said it was just a little over $1,000 in total. And I think that's also counting the cost of the game itself, but still. But nonetheless, though, over $1,000. That's insane. Like, dude, you could buy yourself a brand new Nintendo Switch 2 and about like 3 or 4 good games with that kind of money. Heck, you could even buy an Xbox Series X as high as that system has been increased to. Yeah, you can still buy a brand new Series X and a couple of good games and maybe another controller. You know, with that kind of money. You could buy you a PlayStation 5 and a few good games and a new controller and everything. It's insane. So, yeah, I mean, 2K, it's like, fuck that company at this point. Like, seriously, the fact that they're not getting sued is beyond me. Because the way they're doing it, this is worse than EA. I'm just going to say right now, it is worse than EA. Like, for real, I used to think that people used to say that EA should have got this series. Well, no, EA would have ruined it with corporate greed too. But at this point, I kind of wonder who would have done it worse. Just saying. So, yeah. And it's a shame because I seen that you can actually unlock Harley Prime and Gabriel Slade as playable characters. You can even unlock past your My Rise characters like LJ, and not that it matters because I'll probably, even if I did get the game, I'd be recreating a lot of those characters anyway. So, yeah. But that's the thing. If I do get the game, I'm going to wait till I can get it really, really cheap. You know, and I'm not buying no DLC for it. I can tell you that much right now. So, yeah. And I've already got my wrestling game to play on the go anyway. Because, yes, I went ahead and broke down and just bought the copy of 2K25 that's nothing but a digital code in a case. And then I bought a micro SD card, obviously. But, yeah. But, I mean, 2K25 for the Switch 2 was only priced at like $15. So I just bought that, got my fill of wrestling on the go, and I'm good to go with that. So yes, if I ever do get 2K26, I'll be getting it for the Series X. But nonetheless, though, I definitely ain't going to get it right away. But yeah. So it's a shame. It really is, because there's a lot of good things about the game outside the corporate greed. Again, if it wasn't for the corporate greed, I'd say that 2K26 could have gone down as being one of the greatest wrestling games of all time. You know, like since freaking Here Comes the Pain and Shut Your Mouth. But since they had to slaughter it, completely annihilate it with the corporate greed, then, you know, it's whatever. It's, you know, irrelevant now. So, yeah. I'm just saying, man, when I see DLC costing that much, I'm like, dude, I'll literally go out and buy another game before I go out and get DLC. That's one of the things my sister was talking about. She's seen all the Switch games I have, and she's like, how in the world do you end up with so many Switch games? I'm like, because instead of going out and buying the DLC for one of the other games I got, I just get another game instead. And she's like, well, I wish my kids would do that. So, yeah. Y'all take care. God bless and peace.